Okay, it's getting late, so I'll keep working on this all night. So, that's what it looks like after I clean. I just want to clean the surface here to get the grit off. So you can see how it looks a lot better than it did. So, looks pretty good. So here's what the cylinder looked like after I cleaned it up. You see it's got the coarse marks in there for the oil retention, but it's semi-smooth. I could probably give it one more stroke, wouldn't hurt, but you can see how my thumb doesn't dig into it too heavily. My nail there. So the high spots are broken down. So now we gotta check our valves here. So this is the new parts I brought for the job. I had to go to Harley and buy parts. I hate going to Harley for anything. So there's a new piston. I'm gonna have to make sure it goes in that hole, which it should. It's standard. These are the new push rods. Here's the two valves here. So this is all modern stuff. So hopefully this is matches up to the bent one here. So let's see what it looks like. Hard to tell length on a bent valve. So it's brown. This one here appears to be brown. So you go like this. The height looks pretty damn close. You're probably pretty close. Looks like they're pretty close. So I put them on a table. Looks like when they come across like that, see, it's going to be pretty even. Okay, well, let's roll it and see if it wobbles like the other one. A little bit, not too bad. You can see this ball's wobbling. You can hear it on the table go woo, woo, woo. Ball moves just a little bit. This one here looks better. So that's a match. So they come in a 2-pack. I don't know why. We only need one. Now the difference in length between the intake and exhaust is only about 30 thou there, 50 thou. Not much. So pretty close. Let me straighten out so it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's our new valves. So let's see how these feel in the guides. If the guides feel good, we're going to keep them. If not, I got to put guides in it. We were hoping we didn't have to put guides in it. It'd be cheaper. Less work means it's cheaper to the customer. So here's our new intake valve. First thing you do is compare lengths. You have to find the average bend. Go like that. It goes, yeah, looks like about right. And then you make sure the head's the same size also, like this. Looks good. The thing I like to do is measure the valve stem. Make sure the same stem size, especially if you're doing an aftermarket valve. Very important, because if the stem is different size and stock, your clearance is going to change. Well, we got half a thou right there almost. Here's a quarter of a thou. See, it's just above the 0 right there. You go over here, see it's halfway. There's halfway up, so that's a quarter of a thou. Nothing like quality. Okay, this valve's bigger. See, it's almost at 3/4, but that's where it's bent. Come down here, see it's about a 1/3 of a thou. Just almost a half there. It is a half there. Now look how bad this valve is. You see all the spiral marks in there? That's the rough-ass grinder. It's chattering like crazy across when they ground this valve. Terrible. When I put my hone across this stuff, it knocks that stuff down quite a bit. Okay, let's see how this feels in here. So, if we don't have much clearance, we should be good. Feels pretty even. Slides up and down real good. don't know if you can see the valve moving or not. It's a little bit of movement, but not too bad. These 7mm tend to wobble more. With a smaller stem, the same clearance on a big valve, it has more, it feels like it has more clearance. Okay, that looks good. Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to put this up to light and see if it's, how bad it's leaking light. Looks pretty good. So it should seal fairly closely, but I'm going to grind the valve face because I know there's some nicks and stuff in there where the bolt went through. I saw those when I was grinding on it. So we'll just give this a quick flash grinder with my old stones. I should be able to save this head pretty easily, it looks like. Only a couple hours of work. Yeah, it's getting late. It's definitely getting late. It's the next day in case you didn't know. Get an early start on a day. We just work all night. Okay, here's our other valve. Tough plastic. Okay, let's see what this one is. These valves are different size for clearance purposes. But not this one. So Harley's either using the same clearance on everything, which is not very smart, or they have different cutters for the guide, which is stupid. You should run the same size cutter, the same size diamond coated hone that goes up and down inside of this thing should be the same on both sides, and your extra clearance should be built into the valve. That's how you be smart. The both valves are, this one's actually pretty even at a half, which is more better than the intake was. This one looks like it's going to have that rough finish. You can see the spiral marks already in it. We haven't done anything yet. This one feels, this one should be slightly tighter than it used to be, but probably be fine. It is looser than the intake, so I don't know if you can see it moving or not. See how close this one is. Looks pretty light tight, which means you look up in the light. If you don't see no light up in there, by rotating it, see if you don't see light, it's good. Now if this valve guide was bent or moved in the head or broken, the valve would be off to one side and you would see light on one side of the valve, then you know there's something wrong. The alignment's been changed because these guides will move in the heads like so with a break. You can also see cracks through the top here. If you do, it's junk. So this one you don't see those marks on it. So the valves are so thin they just broke and they didn't hurt the guides, it looks like. So looks like we lucked out on that part. So I'm going to go ahead and grind the seats, and then we'll lap the new valves to the seats. Make sure they're good lap mark all the way around. And we'll be done. So I'll do that tomorrow. And then I got to measure up the piston in the hole, make sure it fits good over there, and basically this job would be done. So there you go. It's a quick fix, but it's a lot of little details you got to do. If you don't do all your detail work, you got a problem. And the biggest thing is Loctite your bolts in and make sure they're tight. So otherwise you have problems like this. All right, that's it for tonight.